Hey, what's up guys? Thank you for stopping by the channel. This is my review of Makeup, now available on demand. This is an indie film out of the UK. It's written and directed by Claire Oakley. It stars Molly Windsor, Joseph Quinn, and Stefanie Martini. It's a blend of drama, coming of age, and mystery, so let's get into how it all works together.
I came here to be with you.
The story here is set in the English county of Cornwall at an off-season caravan park. Young Ruth arrives in town to stay with her boyfriend Tom, who works at this coastal resort, but their lovely reunion doesn't go as planned when Ruth begins to suspect that Tom may be cheating on her. Her suspicions lead to obsession and self-discovery as Ruth tries to find answers in this increasingly mysterious resort. I felt this certainly was an interesting premise, so let's get into the positives, starting with how this story was able to weave a collection of different genres together to create intrigue while watching. This story really starts out seemingly like a common drama between a young couple that could be on the rocks. The story builds mystery as to where this relationship will end up, and it really does pose the question of, is Tom cheating or not? I also enjoyed these ominous undertones that something more sinister could actually be looming in this dormant caravan park as well. Ruth, as she goes about her new life in this park, gets these little flashes of this red-haired woman that she suspects her boyfriend is cheating with, but she's always a step behind, leaving only glancing teases of this person. Ruth also has these random visions that you can't be too sure are in her head or really happening, which to me was interesting and really did a good job of piquing my curiosity. This leads me into my next positive, which would certainly be the direction and the cinematography. This coastal resort could be a place of family fun in the summer, but in the winter, with the gray skies and the gusty winds and rough seas, creates a charming uneasiness and the looming tension of the unknown, something that was captured beautifully on camera. The use of lighting, the combination of day and night shots, all really fit the mood of the plot nicely, and it had me really immersed into the setting. There was a charming, foreboding atmosphere that made me feel like something was possibly swirling around these characters that was much darker. It built up an effective mystery as Ruth progressed through this story, which leads me to another positive. That would certainly be Ruth's story arc overall. She's a young woman that finds herself in a rocky relationship. She's also navigating through sexual discovery and the hesitation of embracing who she really is, and all of that was very compelling to me. She meets a new friend, her name is Jade, and the more she hangs out with her, the more she realizes that this person really allows her to be the person she wants to be and to be the person she wants to express herself as. She kind of gives her that feeling that there is an option outside of the bleak predeterminations that she thinks is set in place in her life. So it's safe to say this young woman has a lot going on in her own mind, and I was very interested to see how and if she would be able to work things out. This movie also takes a major swing in the story department, from giving the impression of being one thing to becoming something completely different on the back end. I got to admit, this change of direction was interesting in theory, but I think how it progressed here did lead to some of the drawbacks for me. I'd have to say that many of the instances in this story used to create that ominous and foreboding tone were simply just for that, to cast a tone without actually having an impact on the narrative. So where some would call this a thriller, I would call it a drama that teases tropes of this genre to mislead and to build some tension that would ultimately result in minimal to no impact on the plot at all. I think this leads to moments in the story that, for me at least, got in the way of exploring this main character and her journey with more detail. The many long gazes into the distance and the bland conversations and silent imagery took time that I think could have been used to see the plot a little bit more stronger. I also think it would have allowed for more of a connection to the characters by letting us get into their minds with more substantial substance. The focus instead is on visual cues that can be left up for interpretation. I also felt the editing was a little bit rushed in places. Ruth has these visions throughout the film and they were cut a little bit short. I think a few more frames would have given them more of a smooth placement as opposed to something that you could all but miss if you blink at the wrong time. These teases at what was going on in Ruth's mind, for me at least, were a little too fragmented, specifically early on, to land with the intended meaning. And with all the teases of horror placed in sporadically, I gotta say I spent more time wondering what this movie was going to be when I could have just been investing in the story and the characters, because when the film closes out, it just didn't hit with the potential that I think it could have had this movie focused on being just an emotionally driven drama with a dreary, cold setting and no hints at something else at play. So in the end, makeup is going to get 65% on the meter. I think it certainly does have its moments. There were sections of it I really did enjoy, and I think this movie is just going to come down to personal preference. This collection of tones and themes and genres may work for many. Some will be able to invest in this story much more and will find the art house styling very appealing, much like I did, but there is also the chance this one will see him a little unfocused and a little too purposeful with its misdirection. Now for today's My Silver Screen recommendations, I have selected a few other flicks that follow along some of the similar themes of this one. First being a much lighter film, but still a very entertaining one, that being Booksmart from Olivia Wilde. Next up would be the Best Picture winner from 2016, of course being Moonlight. And finally an older flick from 1991 that I think I've had on my recommendations lately. Keanu Reeves and River Phoenix star in it, and it's called My Own Private Idaho, that I recommend checking out if you haven't seen it. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop it a thumbs up, leave a comment below. I'd love to talk movies with you guys. Share it with your friends, and without question, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can never miss a video. Here are some links to some recent reviews just in case you missed them. All my social media links and the link to our official website are down in the description below, and I'll catch you next time.